Welcome back to the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. I appreciate you and welcome back. Today we're talking all about King and Queen of the Ring. Just came off of a very hot Raw where Jey Uso and Gunther are advancing to the King of the Ring semifinals. Lyrica Valkyria, I hope I said that name right, and Io Sky are also advancing. SmackDown had their, quarterfinals? Last week where LA Knight advanced over Santos Escobar in a house show, and Randy Orton beat AJ Styles, and Carmelo Hayes beat Baron Corbin, and I don't remember, Jade Cargill advanced, Bianca Belair advanced, and Nia Jax advanced. And I know I'm missing at least two other people. But, I mean, that's what the internet's for. You can go look for it yourself. But I want to talk about what King of the Ring has meant kind of in a grand scheme of things to WWE. And I'd like to just think about what it could mean going forward. So the King of the Ring tournament is pretty inconsistent when it comes to when it shows up and kind of what the benefits are to King of the Ring. So King of the Ring really launched Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was kind of his platform that sent him skyrocketing, the Stone Cold character. But for the most part, and I would say King Booker, which is I think the best use of the kingly gimmick, maybe also Owen Hart. But for the most part, King of the Ring doesn't really do much for anyone besides hand them a crown, hand them a scepter, and kind of give them this goofy royal gimmick where they feel like they have to pretend to be royalty or something. I've never really understood the benefits of King of the Ring. I think the only time King of the Ring actually turned into a title match was with Brock Lesnar in 2002. I think that was the the only time a King of the Ring winner used their win to get a title shot, right? So my question has always been, what is the point of King of the Ring? You can say it's for building gimmicks or building characters or putting somebody over, and that's all well and good. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't feel like anything tangible comes out of it outside of a goofy gimmick, right? We've Corbin won, and he had the goofy royalty gimmick. Xavier Woods won, and he fell into this whole I'm a king and I've knighted the New Day and all this stuff. King Booker, the most prominent example of him just taking it to the next level. But I feel like that gimmick felt the most put over because Booker really leaned into the whole kingly thing. Him and William Regal. I think William Regal won while he was general manager, and the King of the Ring gimmick plus general manager actually gave him power. Like he already had power, but now he had I'm going crazy because I'm king, so I'm gonna do all these weird royal decrees or whatever. So that makes sense, but that's such a few and far between thing, right? So my question has always been, why doesn't King of the Ring lead to a title shot or treat it like the Super Bowl of some sort or some sort of plaque? Like you have like a yearly thing where you come back and you try and regain your crown kind of thing. So Xavier Woods was pitching that as I'm going to come back and I'm going to defend my crown. And unfortunately, he got injured, so Kofi Kingston took his spot, who inevitably took a pin to Gunther, who it looks is going to take it all the way. Jey Uso might have something to say about that too. I wonder who's actually going to win that match, because both of those guys are on not unbeatable streaks, but they're on the road to being something bigger. So I'd love to see who kind of comes out on top. It seems like it's going to be Gunther, but who knows? But my question, as I said, is what do you get when you win King of the Ring? And the most obvious thing is, you get to cash in a title shot or something like that. That should be the benefit of King of the Ring, outside of you get a crown. I feel like a character like Gunther makes more sense winning King of the Ring because the ring is sacred and, he's a professional wrestler and he's he holds the the art of professional wrestling to a higher standard. So him winning King of the Ring could do something with that where his gimmick doesn't have to change, his character doesn't have to change. It just gets elevated just a little bit, where now he's truly respecting the ring by being king of said ring. But if he can say something like, because I am king of the ring, I'm going to get one decree, something like that, where the king or the queen can say, for me, I'm going to say this, I can do this one thing, and Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis have to adhere to it, right? Whether it be, I'm going to challenge so-and-so for such and such title, or I'm going to strip someone of their title because I'm king or queen and I deem it so, or I'm going to name the stipulation in a certain match to try and screw somebody over. Obviously, if you're a professional wrestler, you're going to say, if that's my thing and I get to decree one thing, I'm going after a title. But you can have a lot of fun with a character and their gimmick by, making them do like a very specific character thing with that decree. I don't know what that would be. You could also say, like, I'm the king and I demand that, Cody Rhodes give up his title. Let's say if LA Knight won the King of the Ring. And he's like, I'm going to challenge Cody Rhodes because he's a babyface, right? But if a heel won, he's like, I want to strip Cody Rhodes of that title and then have him, compete for the title again, or something goofy like that. I don't know. I'm making stuff up as I go along. But there needs to be some sort of tangible benefit to King of the Ring. Taking one step back, I love King of the Ring tournament. I love the format of it. I'm a huge fan of tournaments because it clearly defines why someone gets a shot at X, and it shows the road that they took to get there. So in every match of a tournament in professional wrestling, you can tell a story and either position someone as a filthy heel or like a upstanding babyface, right? How they perform in the tournament, how they utilize their faction or their tag team partner or whatever speaks volumes to their character. So you get to follow this story along in this tournament, in these brackets, and then get to the end and you say, okay, well, they cheated their entire way to get here and then they won. They're obviously a terrible heel. And then how do they capitalize on that with the king or queen of the ring crown? Because that's the thing. They're getting very elaborate crowns this year, which is fine. But again, I question the logic of someone like Gunther walking around with a scepter and a crown when he goes to the ring. That doesn't feel like a Gunther thing. Jey Uso feels like he would wear the crown and the scepter, but not take it super serious. But what comes after? Like someone like Jey Uso is already super over. If you watched Raw or you saw his tweet about the Fireflies, where now his entrance is just, they dim the lights and people take out their phones with the lights and they kind of do the thing, the Jey Uso thing, the bopping. Having him wear a crown while doing that works. It just feels like a Jey Uso thing. LA Knight, if he were to win, or Randy Orton, where if he were to win, doesn't feel right having them wear a crown. Like, I feel like Randy Orton would walk to the ring holding the crown in his hand, just kind of like showing it to people, like, yeah, I'm king of the ring. But where does it lead? Where does it go? If they're not cashing in a title shot, what do you get from King of the Ring? Which leads me back to, like, is it a yearly thing? Is it like like I said, like a year over year you compete to regain your title or become a 3-time, 4-time, 5-time King of the Ring champion, and that nets you some sort of bonus or something? I want to do a whole episode about tournaments and kind of the way certain characters should react to wins and losses based on, just kind of getting over the fact that the title scene is a little convoluted now. So if you're not going for a title, what are you working towards, right? If you're not in the title picture, what are you going for? And King of the Ring is one of those things, like, I'm going to go for King of the Ring. But there's a gap, at least for me, in where it leaves a character. There are, of course, very clear examples of characters getting super over with the King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring gimmick. But then there's just terrible examples of people just being not utilized, or King of the Ring not being treated as important as it used to be, or, utilized in the best fashion. Like Xavier Woods and Zelina Vega from the 2019, King of the Ring, treated absolutely terribly. They dumped that whole year's King and Queen of the Ring in the toilet. Xavier Woods, I think it was one of his dreams to become King of the Ring. It was the first time he got his own entrance music, like solely Xavier Woods entrance music. It was for a very short period of time because he got injured. And then when he came back, he was told he can't use the King Woods gimmick anymore. Why not? Zelina Vega was on, I believe it was the Freddie Prinze Jr. wrestling podcast, Wrestling with Freddie / Wrestling with Friends. And she mentioned that when she was Queen Zelina, she changed her music to get All Hail the Queen. And then Charlotte Flair took it, but incorporated that sort of thing in her entrance. And it kind of threw the whole thing out of balance. So Zelina wasn't treated fairly. Xavier Woods wasn't treated fairly. And they were King and Queen of the Ring. So again, where do we leave characters when they win King of the Ring, when they lose King of the Ring? Like Shayna Baszler just lost her qualifying match with Io Sky, and she had a very similar response that Ricochet had, where she's like, something's wrong, something has to change. And I like that. I like the fact that people are coming out of this tournament looking to either reinvent themselves or change some aspect of their character. Like Ricochet, he came out on Raw in like a very nice suit and basically challenged Ilya Dragunov to another match. He's like, congratulations, the outcome's going to be different next time, but go get that win. I'm just hoping this tournament leads people down different routes. That's really the end goal, I think, is putting characters in places that they weren't before, changing some of their alignments, getting some people over, showcasing talent like Ilya Dragunov and Lyrica. I'm not going to say her name right. Valkyria, to be prominent stars on Raw now, and to also, highlight the talents of certain characters who are already super over, like Jey Uso and Gunther. But I just want them to have something coming out of it, right? It should have, something tangible. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think King of the Ring should do with the winners, the kings and queens of King and Queen of the Ring? What should they get at the end? Or do you think they should get nothing? It should just be the way it is. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah!